Right this
He was
way.
late.
I've got it. There you go.
Some reporters going.
How high up did it get here?
About
2 feet? Yeah. And the basement's about 6-7 feet high, so total of 9 feet.
Wow. Is that we had flood insurance.
Good.
Now the flood insurance is a funny thing with them.
Yes.
They pay for the floor, but the subfloor, no.
Yeah.
They pay for 4 feet up.
Amazing.
All the bottom cabinets, nothing up. We had a big pantry there. They only pay for half the pantry.
Is upstairs enough to live in?
No.
No, no.
Because
have
it's
to
all
make
packed
it.
up with,
You have to make
with
it.
You have family in
yes.
Brooklyn?
We have
Yes,
friends
yes.
and, family. We were in the hotel until last month.
So you're
So it was,
basically
Yeah.
still sort of...
Yes,
Yeah,
and
right.
it was difficult for her in the 11th grade to be schlepping all over, to be back and forth. For Bennett, it wasn't too bad. We were staying in Manhattan because his school is in Manhattan. I work in Manhattan. And
Your school's out here.
yes,
Yeah.
and then it was displaced in Brooklyn
Ah.
until they moved back. So, it was just tremendous. And my husband, at least, he stayed, he was always around.
keep an eye on things.
Right, because
Yeah.
of the, breaking ins and so on and so forth.
So what, so you had to personally make sure the home was safe
Oh yes, I
throughout the
stayed here a
process?
lot of times.
Right. What's the timeline to have it at all back to normal? How long do you think it's still?
Factor
I
of
think
funds,
maybe next
factor
three
of
or-
funds. So
3 or
what
4
we're doing
months.
is
Liz, he
slowly.
knows.
3 or
We
4
don't
months?
know. We're
Right.
not sure.
At least if I can.
Yes.
Amazing.
Happy to do a recommendation or whatever I can do to help you. They can't take pictures of this. This is highly classified information.
They won't tell them.
All right, yeah. You just, we'll go from there. Okay.
Thank you so much for your concern.
Thank you. Admire your writing beginning of,
Warning, and I'm here to say it again, we're going to get another one. I don't believe this year, but in the near future, prepare, my friends. Do what you need to do, because we're going to be on our own.
But you were adamant, I remember years ago, so how does that make you feel that you were one of the most outspoken while people were laughing?
I
and
wish I was wrong. Now is the time to make sure government does something to get us ready. So I'm going to fight hard to make sure that everything that they say, we hold them to it.
And you're confident Bill DeBlasio, that he'll come through?
Yes, I'm confident, A, that he's going to win, but B, that we have somebody that we can have a voice with, where we can say, hey, do not forget my lovely and beleaguered community, the Rockaways.
Thank you.
And and the other parts of New York. We have nothing against the rest of New York,
Right.
but we love the Rockaways. The best of people come out.
Right.
Today, very eye-opening experience. The 3 pieces of our tour today. Seeing what the Bennett family has gone through for the last year and how much their lives are still upended, how much work they still have to do to get their family back to normal, what it's done to their household economy. It's something that's going to affect them for years. Some of the other neighborhood residents and people who work in the neighborhood that we spoke with Monsignor Ferrarese, talked about the incredible dislocation they've gone through, and the fact that federal aid only went so far, and there's still so much that needs to be done. And obviously the town hall meeting got a sense of the intensity of feeling in the community. The people came out in huge numbers because they need to know that their needs will be met. They need to know that this recovery money will lead to some fairness, will lead to some opportunity. So what I'm committed to is making sure that the recovery dollars and all of our efforts focus on employing people who were affected by this crisis and using this as a moment to start to turn their lives around and get them decent paying jobs in the process to every extent possible. I want to make sure we address the challenges of affordable housing that Sandy made worse, but that existed intensely here in the Rockaways even before Sandy. And I want to keep working on the issues of health care. This community suffered when Peninsula closed. St. John's Hospital is under threat. The health needs are greater than ever as a result of Sandy. So I'm committed to focusing on those three needs: living wage jobs, the affordable housing, and the health needs of the community for the long term. And I think, thank you for your work with the hospital. Thank you, brother. And I think the important thing here is this community is organized, energized to make sure that government is held accountable, and I think that's a great blessing. So with that, welcome your question. Yes.
Do you plan on visiting any other communities affected by Hurricane Sandy, like Seagate?
Well, I've been to Seagate, and I intend to go back, and this is going to be an ongoing thing, not just in these coming weeks, but going forward. I've been to Coney Island, been to Seagate, look forward to going back to both. Yes.
Technically and specifically, how you enforce some sort of living wage provision with federal monies or state or city monies, how does that work?
I'm not a lawyer, so it's an aspirational point. I want to make sure to the maximum extent the law allows, and the city has the flexibility, that we're getting people decent paying jobs as part of this recovery effort, and that we're making sure that people from the affected neighborhoods get the first opportunities. You know, I think in the past, a lot of relief efforts have not always focused on those who are affected having the employment opportunities. So I want to make sure within the limits of the laws and rules that, media questions only, my friend, and within the limits of the laws and rules of FEMA and of the United States government, that we, to the maximum extent possible, favor those who lived in affected areas.
Mr. DeBlasio,
There's
been a huge number of people still displaced in Rockaway's area and other parts of the affected area. And there's been huge problems with FEMA, people getting the compensation, be able to have the repairs done, move back in. This has happened under a Democratic administration. What have you got to say to people who say, well, is going to be any different under a Democratic mayor in New York? What are you going to do to help the people that still are out of their homes?
Very, very different realities of the federal government and the local government. Obviously, local government is close to the people, and I, for one, feel the people's suffering, and it's hard to miss when you have these conversations and you see what we've seen today. So I'm very committed to making sure that benefits that people deserve get to them more quickly. Certainly, I've been displeased, and my office has been working on this ever since Sandy hit. Been really displeased with how slow a lot of the FEMA benefits have been incoming, and it's my job to push them now as public advocate. As the people choose me as mayor, it'll be my job to continue to push them to be more responsive.
And what are people who are still displaced and are living in hotels? What about those people?
Welcome to Rockaway. We hope we see more of you.
Yes, you will.
The biggest disaster facing Rockaway, short of another superstorm, is the Bigot Waters Act. What mayor can you do about it?
Look, I think the federal government has left us in an untenable situation where people are going to be asked to pay flood insurance they simply can't afford. And I think we have to use every power we have to convince the federal government either to delay the implementation or to come up with some kind of subsidy that makes it possible for working class and middle class people to handle that insurance level. To me, this is the ultimate unfunded mandate, but it's affecting families, not local government. It's hitting families right over the head like a 2x4, and a huge number of families can't afford it.
Do you expect to continue to keep the same people in place who are working on it now in the administration with the recovery?
You know, I don't get into the details of personnel. I think it's presumptuous until people have spoken on November 5th. In general, I've said if the people choose me mayor, I'm going to be looking to bring in new people. But in the case of recovery, we've looked very closely at the current personnel in the name of continuity and be careful with the choices we make. So to me, this is a steady growth in my understanding, and I intend to be coming back and coming back. This problem will take a long time to solve, and the next mayor has to be hands-on about it.